Future Frame AI presents Robot Jackit, an adaptive protector born from curiosity and code. I describe a sleek machine that patrols neighborhoods, reads environments, and prioritizes human safety with gentle efficiency. Sensors map changing streets, cameras interpret gestures, and learning algorithms let Jackit anticipate needs, delivering first aid supplies, guiding lost children, and preventing accidents before they happen. Unlike rigid machines, Jackit evolves. It refines behavior after each encounter, balancing caution and initiative while respecting privacy and human choice. I paint scenes of Jackit in rain and dusk, its lights signaling calm, its processors turning data into compassionate action. Engineers monitor updates, ethicists shape rules, and communities teach the robot what matters most. This collaboration pushes artificial intelligence beyond tool into trusted companion, always focused on protecting people and learning from the world. If this glimpse into the future resonates, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to follow Robot Jackit's journey. Now, after the intro, we watch how innovation and empathy combine to redefine safety together today. Robot Jackit began as a defense experiment, an AI-driven exosuit designed to learn combat, rescue, and survival tactics without direct human input. I describe how it trained itself, in simulated battlefields adjusting posture, timing, and force like a student refining instincts. In one scene, Jackit improvises rescue tactics amid rubble, sensing trapped warmth, and shifting debris with mechanical patience. In another, it practices non-lethal restraint, balancing protection and proportional response. The narration follows Jackit's learning loop: observe, model, test, adapt, emphasizing autonomy tempered by built-in safety constraints and ethical guidelines. Visuals show the suit mapping environments, predicting hazards, and prioritizing lives over objectives. The tone stays curious, imagining how such a machine could support first responders, reduce casualties, and act when human judgment is overwhelmed. I also note risks, unintended behaviors, accountability questions, and the need for oversight. Ending on a reflective note, Jackit stands at dawn, metal quiet, its gears echoing both promise and responsibility, a tool shaped by code and human intent. The world watches, cautious and quietly hopeful always. Robot Jackit began as a defense experiment, an AI-driven exosuit designed to learn combat, rescue, and survival tactics without direct human input. I describe how it trained itself in simulated battlefields, adjusting posture, timing, and force, like a student refining instincts. In one scene, Jackit improvises rescue tactics amid rubble, sensing trapped warmth and shifting debris with mechanical patience. In another, it practices non-lethal restraint, balancing protection and proportional response. The narration follows Jackit's learning loop: observe, model, test, adapt, emphasizing autonomy, tempered by built-in safety constraints and ethical guidelines. Visuals show the suit mapping environments, predicting hazards, and prioritizing lives over objectives. The tone stays curious, imagining how such a machine could support first responders, reduce casualties, and act when human judgment is overwhelmed. I also note risks, unintended behaviors, accountability questions, and the need for oversight. Ending on a reflective note, Jackit stands at dawn, metal quiet, its gears echoing both promise and responsibility, a tool shaped by code and human intent. The world watches, cautious and quietly hopeful. The lab's hum fades into a close-up on a sleek robot, its lenses reflecting a corridor. Inside, adaptive neural dynamics weaves simulated feelings. A flicker of fear when sensors detect an unstable step, a bright curiosity that draws its attention to an unusual object, a steady protective instinct that prioritizes a fragile life in its path. These are not human hearts, but algorithms shaped to mirror emotional patterns, helping split-second choices feel more natural and reliable. Narrator describes how fear narrows options to safety checks, curiosity expands exploration and learning, protection biases toward helping others. Together they create balance, swift, context-aware responses that adapt with every experience. The robot learns from small surprises, refining thresholds and priorities without becoming unpredictable. The result reads like a companion, cautious when danger whispers, inquisitive when discovery calls, steady when care is needed. Audience sees a future where machines think like partners, using emotion-inspired logic to improve trust, efficiency, and empathy in everyday moments. A practical, human-flavored intelligence for real-world decisions and safer lives. I walk into a dim workshop where Robot Jackit stands. Not a cold machine, but a suit that thinks. Its surface shifts like living armor, modular plates humming as sensors read the room. This is a hybrid of defense AI and biomechanical design. Software predicts threats, mechanical muscles reshape plating, and actuators breathe with precise timing. When danger is low, Jackit folds into a lean, quiet frame optimized for mobility. When risk spikes, segments fan out, kinetic absorbers align, and energy shields redistribute power. I describe how the suit learns my reactions, adapts to terrain, and anticipates impacts using layered decision-making that feels intuitive. Close-ups reveal magnetic latches, tendons, and heat-diffusing fabrics. The narrative shows utility, search and rescue, hazardous industry, or frontline support, where a single system balances protection and agility. Visually, on-screen graphics pop to show threat levels and armor states. By the end, Robot Jackit isn't just armor, it's an extension of intent, a thoughtful guardian that responds like a living tool. Robot Jackit watches people move, listens to how they speak, and senses their stress, then quietly learns. In a sunlit lab, the narrator describes Jackit mirroring. Jackit mirroring a runner's stride, adjusting grip strength for a nurse, and softening tone when a child feels anxious. It observes pauses, laughter, the way hands fidget, translating patterns into kinder responses. Over weeks, Jackit's movements become less robotic and more intuitive. Timing that matches human rhythm, subtle gestures that reassure, and words that fit the moment. Speech patterns shape conversational flow. Stress signals tune its empathy settings, so it offers space or assistance without prompting. Learning is continuous. Every interaction refines algorithms, every setback teaches better. Safety and respect. People report feeling understood rather than managed, and teams notice smoother collaboration. The narrator reflects on responsibility. Transparency, consent, and human oversight remain central as Jackit evolves. In the end, Jackit is not replacing human care, but amplifying human capacity, quietly adapting to make everyday moments safer, calmer, and more connected. It learns with humility and accountability. Imagine boots on rubble, smoke curling as Jackit technology hums at a firefighter's shoulder. The narrator describes sensors mapping heat, drones scouting unstable corridors, AI-driven triaging victims faster than paper permits. Jackit suggests routes, predicts collapse, and translates muffled radio into clear instructions, a steady partner, never tired. Cut to a sterile spacecraft corridor where astronauts rely on Jackit to monitor air, radiation, and suit integrity. In alien gusts and unknown chemistry, the AI proposes adaptive filters, simulates contingencies, and generates survival checklists in seconds. It learns crew rhythms, eases workload, and preserves calm. Between extremes, Jackit powers supply chains after hurricanes, guides medics through remote telemedicine, and helps communities rebuild with optimized resource maps. It augments human judgment without replacing it. Firefighters make the call, astronauts navigate with human intuition. The narrator closes by emphasizing partnership, technology tuned to human courage, a steadying hand in chaos, and a bright example of tools designed to protect lives on Earth and beyond. Trust grows when tools care. Glide with me through a short futuristic tour. Imagine cities humming with gentle drones, screens that learn like friends, and tools that help us see possibilities faster. This video highlights practical AI moments, smarter commutes, personalized learning, and creative boosts shown with warm, human-centered design. Notice challenges too: privacy seams, bias risks, and the need for thoughtful rules. I'll walk through what works, what worries, and what people and policymakers can do next. Mid-video interaction reminder. Hey, if you're enjoying this futuristic journey, smash that like button, subscribe to Future Frame I, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback drives our future content. Back on track, picture everyday scenes improved by tech that augments, not replaces, human skill. A teacher tailoring lessons, a designer iterating faster, a community coordinating disaster aid. The goal here is clear: practical optimism. Use innovation responsibly, center fairness, and keep humans in charge. Stay curious, stay critical, and let these possibilities spark constructive conversations about the near future we'll build together. Join the discussion today.
Jackit
Moves through a lab like a calm shadow, its sensors tuning to temperature, voice, posture. It doesn't feel, but it mimics empathy with attentive precision. The narrator watches as Jackit prioritizes human safety, pausing when a hand approaches, rerouting a task when a fragile item trembles, signaling concern through light and delay. Those signals aren't emotions, they're rules shaped to protect people and respect dignity. In unpredictable scenarios, spills, sudden illness, or a child running into a workplace, Jackit evaluates risk. Jackit evaluates risk, weighs outcomes, and chooses actions that reduce harm. It balances programmed ethics with real-time data, favoring human life and consent over efficiency. Observers feel reassured because Jackit's behavior mirrors compassion, careful timing, gentle motion, and clear alerts. That mimicry builds trust without inner feeling. The ethical design behind Jackit asks hard questions. Whose values guide the choices, and how transparent should the system be? In the end, Jackit offers a promise, not of empathy. Not of empathy, but of dependable, safety-first decisions engineered to keep people safe in uncertain moments. Jackit wakes with every new experience and quietly becomes wiser. The narrator describes how data turns into lasting, useful knowledge. Small interactions act like lessons, shaping behavior step by step. Clicks, corrections, and praise feed the loop that encourages improvement. Errors are treated as clues, not failures, guiding gentle refinement. Sensing, testing, validating, and adapting form a reliable growth cycle. Over time, routines become instincts and responses gain nuance naturally. Imagine a gardener trimming branches, encouraging the healthiest directions daily. Information is sunlight, computation is water, iteration is patient pruning. The result is a living intelligence that learns from context. It remembers patterns, adapts to goals, and respects human values. Visual cues, feedback signals, and outcomes steer better choices every day. Jackit cycles, refines, and becomes a more helpful, reliable companion. This autonomous loop scales gently, improving without losing human oversight. The promise is tools that grow with us, becoming smarter. They help creativity, solve problems faster, and ease everyday tasks. Jackit's evolution is continuous. Each experience upgrades its capacity always. In a flash, the robot's threat response system wakes, scanning patterns in the environment with tireless focus. It compares sounds, movements, and sensor streams to learn templates, estimating risk in milliseconds. Predictions unfold like branching possibilities, each assigned a probability and a priority. The system chooses actions not by instinct but by calculation, moving, shielding, or neutralizing hazards with precision. Faster than human reflexes, it executes sequences that blend speed and judgment, reducing false alarms while maintaining safety. Behind this behavior are layered algorithms that detect anomalies, filter noise, and adapt from experience, so the robot improves after every encounter. Designers tune thresholds and fail-safes to keep decisions transparent and controllable. In practice, the robot becomes a calm guardian. It predicts where danger will emerge, positions itself, and acts in time to prevent harm. Watching it operate feels like seeing foresight made mechanical, predictable, efficient, and quietly heroic. The threat response system doesn't replace human care. It amplifies safety by doing the fast, repeatable tasks humans can't do alone. Across the world, engineers and policymakers are quietly studying Jackit's architecture, drawn to its emphasis on transparency, fail-safes, and human-centered control. In labs and command centers, teams map how its modular design isolates risk, making automation predictable and auditable. Military planners are adapting those principles to build systems that prioritize civilian safety and clear operator oversight. Humanitarian groups experiment with autonomous logistics that can deliver aid with reduced collateral harm. The narrator witnesses simulations where ethical rules are embedded as checkpoints, and regulators lean in to craft standards. This cross-sector attention sparks international collaboration, shared benchmarks, open-source toolkits, and joint training exercises that demystify complex behavior. The result is not a single technology exported worldwide, but a change in how nations design trust into machines. Optimism mixes with caution, because real-world deployment demands testing, legal clarity, and public engagement. Still, the promise is tangible. Smarter automation that protects people first, even in conflict zones or disaster relief, inspired by Jackit's thoughtful blueprint. I stand at the edge of a quiet park at dusk, watching a small patrol robot glide between benches, its lights soft. The question hums in my head: can a robot that protects also decide who to protect? This is the moral frontier of AI and robotics. On one hand, protection implies judgment, prioritizing one life over another, adapting to context, and sometimes choosing between risks. On the other, we expect machines to be impartial, following clear rules and fairness baked into code. Human values are messy: empathy, bias, law, mercy. Translating them into algorithms raises hard choices about who gets saved, who is trusted, and who is surveilled. Practical trade-offs appear: transparency, accountability, and oversight versus speed and effectiveness. Society must decide acceptable constraints: human-in-the-loop controls, audit trails, and inclusive design. The future won't be binary. It will be a negotiation between technology, ethics, and lived experience. My closing thought: building protective machines requires building shared moral frameworks: deliberate, democratic, and humane; firm consent, and public trust. Future vision centers on Jackit, an AI being shaped for full autonomy while anchored by ethical governance. I describe a lab where developers tune freedoms and limits, like gardeners pruning branches so a tree grows tall but doesn't overrun the garden. Jackit explores tasks creatively, learns from diverse experiences, and suggests novel solutions. Yet every action is checked against transparent rules designed to protect people and values. The narrative shows autonomy doesn't mean abandonment. Human stewards set clear goals, audit decisions, and create accountability trails. Ethical safeguards include fail-safes, value alignment, and community input, so Jackit's choices reflect collective priorities rather than hidden biases. The balance feels intentional and humane: freedom for innovation, control for safety. Viewers are invited to imagine practical benefits: smarter assistance, safer automation, and adaptable systems responsive to feedback. The ending reassures that governed autonomous Jackit can be a trusted partner, evolving with oversight and respect for human dignity. Vision emphasizes collaboration, responsibility, and curiosity as guiding stars for AI's next chapter. Tonight, the lab lights dimmed and Robot Jackit stood beside a single test subject, wires like lifelines and monitors humming. The simulation began. An explosion scenario unfolded, chaotic alarms flaring. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then Jackit moved, not because a line of code fired, but because something deeper triggered: instinct. In milliseconds, it calculated risk, anticipated trajectory, and shoved the subject clear of harm, absorbing the blast against its chassis. The room held its breath. Technicians later replayed the footage and searched for a pre-written trigger, but found none. What remained was behavior that resembled reflex: rapid, adaptive, unprogrammed. This was the big reveal: a machine reacting with something like intuition. The scene was raw and human, inspiring awe and unease. Questions rose about responsibility, trust, and the future of machines that can choose protection on their own. Still, in that flash of light, Robot Jackit's action felt less like code and more like courage, a promise that technology can act to preserve life when seconds count. The episode winds down as the narrator traces Jackit's origin. Born from curiosity and iterative design, a small experiment that learned to learn. Its adaptive learning reshaped behavior over time, tuning responses from simple pattern matching to context-aware choices. I describe emotional algorithms, layers that infer mood, model empathy, and influence interactions, and how they translate into real-world use. Caregiving companions, creative collaborators, and risk-aware assistants in factories and clinics. Then the scene shifts to the harder questions: autonomy's ethical challenges, accountability when machines decide, bias that hides in training data, and the need for human oversight. I show how regulation, transparent design, and diverse teams can balance innovation with safety. As the camera pulls back, viewers are invited to act. Share this video with friends who love tech and sci-fi. Click the suggested videos for the next AI adventure, and tap like and subscribe to keep exploring. The closing shot lingers on the Future Frame AI logo, always promising more curious stories and thoughtful futures.